Welcome back, everyone. For those of you that haven't been here, this is part 3, modeling cosplay armor for 3D printing. I greatly appreciate y'all being here, and I hope you enjoy the video. That we'll end up putting a edge loop here. Poly loop, anyway. Then we should probably do this on slide. See how that plays out. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with that yet. Still not sure about this. It's not quite as aggressive as I would like it to be. I might take this point down and just do it sharp down through there. Sharp angle. We'll see. We'll see how this plays out. I don't know. I kind of want to move it now because I'm not exactly happy with the way that it's looking at the moment. So I think I'm going to uncrease this. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to duplicate this. Duplicate, turn it off. Keep using the one that I've been using. Increase that. Move this down. Now select this, and I think I'm going to pull that down. Not exactly sure how this is going to play out yet. We're just figuring it out as we go. I think I'll end up stitching these points together. This can come across to here and back in. Not sure why that happened. Oh, because I need to do an insert there. And there, because of the slope of the brow there. This, I think I want to be a little bit more sharp of an angle down through here. We will Zmodeler and stitch this to that, this to that. I think that's the way that it needs to be. Move, pull that back out, push this back in, change my draw size just to kind of straighten this out a little bit. More like that, I think. Pull this so that it intersects in there. I don't know, maybe this needs to actually come more further back. Maybe I'm trying to connect it in too early. I don't know that I like the way that that looks from the side profile. I think it needs to kind of come back right in through there. So we're going to insert an edge loop here, or poly loop. We're going to hover over, go to delete, delete that. We can then slide this back up a little bit. And I think this needs to come more so like this. I could cut right through there, but I don't think I like that. I think going like this is kind of the right angle, slope. Okay. We can insert here. We can grab this and we can go to extrude. Auto connected in there. And we can go insert here. Extrude. And Change from midpoint to endpoint. There we go. Move this down. Undo. Draw size is too big. Okay. Maybe we pull that down into here. All right, we're going to give that a whirl. Stitch these 2 points here. Like that. Auto group. And then we're going to go to hover over a polygon. We're going to go to Q mesh and normal. Polygroup all. Then we'll hover over and we will start creasing. Crease. And we'll do polygroup all. Undo that. We don't need polygroup all that, but I think it might have got us close. A few little adjustments that need to be made. This, I think, actually can be stitched. Go to solo. We'll stitch these points to here. Made a mistake on that. Polygroup all on the green. All these intersections here shouldn't have been stitched. But we'll get it taken care of. I think I said stitched instead of creased. But y'all knew what I meant. Mistakes were made. There might have been a faster way of doing that, but that's okay. It worked out. Go to the move tool. I don't want this to be quite as wide. Just want it to be narrow down through here. You know, it sounds really good right now. A beer. I haven't had a beer in probably a month. Just sounds good. I can almost taste it. I used to have a kegerator right next to my desk. Bad idea. Literally, it was like arm's length away. Bad idea. Don't do it. Trust me. Need to insert an edge loop here. Need to insert one here and here. This just isn't quite laying down like it should. Takes a while to get everything adjusted and where you want it. Again, all of this is something that you will just determine on your own when you're doing trim work or working on your own model or whatever it may be. You'll decide when you're done. And I don't know if I take more time than most or if I'm just incredibly slow, but I can just see things in my mind. I'm like, that looks good. That doesn't look good. That looks good. That doesn't look good. This needs adjustment. This needs to be moved. And so I just take my time and try to put out the best product that I can put out. You know, I just want it to be right. And if I look at something and it doesn't feel right to me, I've got to change it. I can't just go past it and avoid it. And even if it's just a minor little thing, I have to change it. Does that look right? Does that sweep look right? I don't think so. We're getting really close, but there's just a few little adjustments that need to happen. It's a little flat in through here. I think, I don't know, I might tuck this underneath I also might do something like that. I think these are a little off. The points need to come in, and the straight side needs to be on the inside rather than the outside. It needs to slope from the outside in. Switch it to black. Let's see what we think. So this is BPR render. It's BP render is essentially what it is. I'm not sure what this BP stands for, but it is to render the model in the highest resolution possible based on the state that it's in. And it kind of gives you an idea of how shadows work against the model, how it looks at different angles. And so you can just turn it. And then when you move it, it's gonna go away. But it just kind of gives you a little preview of how the model looks in high resolution, even higher resolution than what we're already working with here. Looks pretty cool. All right, we'll go back to matte cap gray. All right. This portion right here is kind of bothering me. I don't know if I want to leave that or if I want to put an edge border on it with the copper. I haven't decided yet. I don't know. But I'm fairly happy with everything that we have so far. So now we're going to do something that might look stupid. But we're going to give it a shot. Transparency, the ear is here. I'm thinking right in here. Let me look at this file real quick. Oh, I got this other one turned on. Turn that one off. Alrighty. I don't know how this is going to look, but we're going to give it a shot. This is kind of where the futuristic look comes in. We're going to go to insert a cylinder. Grab that cylinder. Rotate it. Make sure focal shift is down to -100. Scale it down. Move it out. And we are going to turn on polyframe mode so I can see what I'm doing here. Go back to move it out a little bit more. Undo, because focal shift changed on me. Then we're going to squeeze it down. Go to Zmodeler brush. We're going to remove these edge loops or poly loops. Go back to move. Focal shift changed on me again, so just pay attention to that. We're going to move this up. Where is my ear? Move this like this. Scale it down. About right in here. Make sure I'm not colliding with this trim. Go up just a little bit. Turn off transparency so I can see what I'm doing here. Do I like the position of that? I don't know. I don't know if I like the position of that. I used to move up just a little bit. Focal shift changed again, so pay attention to that. There we go. Now I need to go to the helmet, turn off the move tool. We may slide this around actually. So it looks like it feeds into that part of the helmet. This down a little bit. Grab this, pull that down a little bit. This needs some adjustment anyway. Grab this, move this down, pay attention to focal shift again. Turn on transparency if you need to see where the ear is. I wonder if that's too big. Maybe scale it a little bit. Pull it down. Grab the helmet. Excuse me. Move that back and in a little bit more. Grab this. Solo. We will go to insert. Something like this right here. Insert here. We will highlight this. And we will sync that in. Actually, go to QMesh. Sync that in. And then we will grab this outer. Pull that out. Turn off solo. That is about right. Let's turn off the head. Go back to the helmet. Turn off transparency. See how much that bleeds into the inside. Go back here. Insert here. Now I am just going to kind of make this up as I go. I'm going to go to insert, multiple edge loop. I kind of want like this futuristic spoke effect. We're going to stitch here to here, here to there, there to there. I don't know that that's going to work. So let's see here. Turned on, so I mirror and welded it, duplicated it on the x-axis, and then I pressed X and it turned on symmetry. So if you're wondering what I did, sorry for not explaining it, but I did now. So now we're going to hover over this point and I'm going to insert a single edge loop. Just kind of making this up as I go. Something that looks kind of like a transponder, some type of communication device or something to that effect. My dog's chasing the chickens. Chickens got out of the pen and they're going to the front porch where my dog's food bowl is. And he's chasing them off so they can't get his food. I don't know if I want it crisp or if I wanted to round it off. I don't know if I want this gold or black. I don't know. I wonder if I could do something interesting. Let's see if I can QMesh, polygroup all. Maybe I can extrude one side poly and then change that to a new polygroup Well, I messed up. I made a mistake. That would look pretty sick, though. I think I'm going to keep it. However, I think I'm going to redo it because I have made I've just jacked it all up. Made a mess of it. So we're going to insert a cylinder. We are going to move it. Focal shift down to -100. Move it out of the way. Scale it down. Move it back. Scale it down to the size that it needs to be. A little bit bigger than that. Put it back where it was. Terrible. Terrible idea. All right. Again, I can't see what I'm doing. There we go. Now I can see. Right there. That's where we're at. May end up doing all this and not liking it at all, so we'll see how it goes. I want to completely remove this. Without it getting all jacked up and distorted. Sometimes I forget things I've done in the past just because it's been a long time. I just, right here, I hovered over the edge, create 2 new poly loop lines, held down Alt under the insert, right? So we're under Insert, hold down, left click while holding Alt, and it deletes that, and then it makes that slope. We can mirror and weld again, turn on symmetry, and then I wonder if I can get radial symmetry to work. Turn on local, but it's radial on X. So turn it on Y. And we go that route. Insert here. Select. Then delete. All right. Well, I've got a concept in my mind, and I'm not sure if I want something quite so mechanical like I'm doing right now, but I just don't know. I wonder if highlighting sections and then changing the color, if that works. No, it doesn't. Up to this point, you could look at the overall helmet and think, that is a medieval helmet. That being said, with the addition of this, you really can no longer say that. I might just have to play with this for a while and see what I think. But I think from this point, what I'm going to do is go to stitch midpoint. See how that turns out. See if turning on X. Nope, that's not going to work. It actually looks kind of cool. I wonder if I was to adjust it just a fraction. Without it colliding with the side. Turn off the head. Go back to the helmet. Kind of reminds me of a sun, which the movement for the guy that this, for the faction that this guy is a part of, one of their sayings is rise. And so a sun, kind of cool, kind of a cool idea. Now, do we leave it like that? Turn off Y and radial symmetry. We'll go back to mirror and weld. Turn off X and hide point, delete hidden close holes, and then back to mirror and undo. And X symmetry. I would like to have this in, I'd like to have this outer portion in copper and the rest of it in black. So I think I'm going to duplicate this. I think I'm going to leave this one copper and turn one to black and leave one in copper. Okay, now move this, make sure focal shift is on. Okay. Leave that where it is, maybe. I want this outer portion to be turn this other one off. So what I need to do is I need to remove the starburst pattern from this. Go back to radial symmetry on Y, local. And we need to remove, because I want this to be black, or do we want that to be copper? Let me think about this. So it would be black, copper, black, copper. So this is the black one, or the center to be black as well. We need to make sure those are highlighted. Make sure these are highlighted and these, I believe. So then we want to collapse this. Let's see if we can do it without too many crazy distortions. We could do it potentially with delete. I wonder if we can do it with no attraction and see what happens. No, that won't work. So maybe we can remove that, or maybe that. Highlighting different parts to see how it reacts. I can see how to collapse it properly. Maybe the sides shouldn't be selected. Maybe that's something that's causing issues for us. Okay. So maybe wonder if I could just collapse that, collapse that, collapse that, collapse this. Ooh. Okay. Now let's see what happens. Ooh, I bet I'm on midpoint, so I want to be in point. Okay. Turn that one on. Ooh, so we're having a problem here as far as seeing the black. Turn off that. Okay, so on the copper one, we want to collapse. Solo that out. We want to collapse that. Collapse that. This one we need to turn radial symmetry back on. Collapse that. Ooh. I wonder if we can do stitch there to there. Does that work? Stitch doesn't work that way. But what if we did stitch that to that? Okay, go back to this one. Black is showing, but I want black to be showing there too. This needs to be black. So this one is selected. Solo that out. Select all of this. Except for undo. These parts. Auto group. That way I can see what I'm doing here. That is all that I need in create. Yeah. We need to insert an edge loop here. Insert. You mesh that out. There we go. Then turn off solo there. Turn off polyframe mode. Okay. And then that's like what I'm looking for. All right, so then we'll go here to the helmet. Turn that black. And then that's what I'm looking for. Oh, the black is, or the copper is shining through on this portion here. So how do we fix that? Let's go to solo. And collapse this ring here. And then that should fix the overlap between the black and the gold. Then we need to turn off radial symmetry on the copper. Go back to X. Turn off local, and we're going to mirror and weld. Undo, mirror, mirror and weld. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing on the black. We're going to turn off radial symmetry on Y. We're going to, and then we should be able to mirror, because it's going to mirror from this side, and then mirror and weld. This needs to be turned off because we're not going with that one. All right. Then we can continue on. So now I think we're at the point where, I don't know though. I kind of feel like this trim needs to come all the way up into where the sun is. And this needs to be capped as well. So I think we're going to come in here and modify this piece, turn on the subtool, and we're going to grab this and move this all the way to the end and cap that. Just think it's necessary. Yeah, I think we need to bring a part up into there. I just think it would cap that off nicely. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to insert here, low res, insert right in here. And then we're going to highlight here, auto group, go to extrude, one side poly. We're going to have to adjust this as we go. Highlight this, go to move. Highlight that, go to move, turn off solo. Go back to the move brush. How can we adjust that without distorting it? Doesn't look like we can. I mean, I could troubleshoot it and look for a better way, but all of those things take time, so I'm just going to do it the way I know how. Definitely too big of a piece right now, so I will fix that. Insert there, insert there, insert there. All right, move this around. It's sometimes after the fact that you have to do these things, so you just end up having a more difficult time than what you would have if you would have done it right the first time. But, you know, you don't always know until you get it all to a certain point, and then you're like, ah, man, I need to add this here. I need to add this there. I need to add this, you know. It's just the way it goes. But it's okay. We're going to get it. We're going to get it right. It's going to feel good, look good. Not sure what's happening there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and crease these edges. Confused as to where I was there for a second. All right, so we're going to stitch this, I think, and crease that. Man, that took entirely too long. Just the way it goes sometimes. Looks good, though. Looks good. Ties into there. Ties into there nicely. Wonder if some, like, chevron plates down through here would look cool. Some layered chevron plates that are copper colored to contrast with the black. Let's go to extrude, no sides poly. Like that, auto group split, grab this, and start moving it around a little bit. Maybe that's a little wider than I want them to be. Now we'll go ahead and Q mesh those out. And then let's get these kind of situated and done. We're going to pretty much crease everything. high res. Got to get this top portion. And the sides. Go ahead and put an, oh, we do have an insert point there. Okay, so we're good. So then we could probably tuck them underneath here. I don't know if that's going to make sense or not, or if that's worth it, but we may end up doing that. Move that like this, move that like that, and I want them layered from top to bottom. So this top one will be layered, and then maybe we pull that up like that, pull that up like that, pull that back out just a little bit, and then back up. Okay, duplicate, move tool, make sure focal shift isn't jacked up, pin to the subtool, and turn off symmetry. Gonna take a little bit of work. Duplicate, move, duplicate, move, and we're going to do that all down the back. One last one, I think. We'll merge all those down together so we can move them together. As long as you don't read Dynamesh or anything like that, you'll, excuse me, still be able to separate them off. They're in different groups right now, except for the first two. But we can auto group them into separate groups and adjust them accordingly. All right. Focal shift is selected, so we're actually going to leave that this time because it's going to get that natural curve. Now we'll turn focal shift back on or off, and we'll rotate a little bit. Auto group, group split. Grab this one, and we will move it down a little bit and adjust these even further. Something like that. Tilt it just a fraction. Might be a little bit too much. Want any negative space underneath. We can actually make that a little bit larger. Go to the next one, pin to it, a little bit larger, maybe up a little bit like that. Gradually adjusting that. I might end up having too many of them, which is fine. I don't know. I don't know if I like it. Might be too much. Maybe we pull this out a little bit more and give it kind of an edge border. I imagined them being separate from that, not connected. So I don't know. I feel like I want to do this. They need to be equally spaced. If they're not, it doesn't look like the technology that they would have. So if I'm going to do it, I've got to be very precise or it's just not going to work right. Or they need to scale in similar increments as you go higher. So essentially bigger at the bottom, smaller at the top. And if you don't have that, so that big one at the top is probably fine, but then they need to be they need to flow properly all the way down. And I think that's pretty good actually. I don't know. For some reason, I feel like the helmet needs to come down a little bit like that. Doesn't look too bad, actually. The fact that this is not gold right here kind of bothers me. Or copper, anyway. I really do like the way that this looks on the side, though. I like that too. I like the way that it's shaping up. All right. So I think we're going to, just for the sake of the subtool list, merge these back together. Keep them. Oh, no. Okay. About had a problem. Okay. Now we're going to work on a new part. All right, we're going to go ahead and save the file here as number 4. I think these need to stop at the same height as what these are. So we're going to move these back up there. File, save as 4. Replace that file. Okay, now we're going to take the helmet. We're going to duplicate it. Turn the new one off. Stick with the one we have. And we are going to subdivide this. And the way that you subdivide it is it's not subdivided now. We have it on high res here. Okay, then we're going to go Control D. Okay, smooths everything out. And then we're going to delete the lower subdivisions. And then we're going to turn on solo so we can see. Okay, and then we're going to go to 4K as the reDynamesh. Keep it nice and crispy. Turn off blur, pressing enter when you type in the numbers. It won't reDynamesh until you hit reDynamesh. I could lag out, so we'll see. Okay. Now we're going to go down to 2K. 2K is lower than I want. You want a high resolution? I re subdivided again, deleted lower again. Then let's see if 4K works. Okay, that looks a lot more smooth. Except for in here, I'm not exactly sure why that's happening. Maybe detect edge, keep creases, and let's go to half. To Z remesh. Turn off polyframe mode. That's crispy. Let's see if I can draw on here with a mask. Okay. So lower resolutions, draw on the mask. Maybe we want to delete lower, little choppy, undo, little choppy. Everything's still nice and crisp. Now let's see about redynameshing. I don't want to redynamesh. Okay. So now let's go back to black. See about adding in some rivets. And we'll go to stroke. We'll go to lazy mouse. Come in here, turn down the draw size. Probably should go ahead and put it back to matcap. Not sure why. Dynamesh doesn't seem to work the same way that it used to. It's just not as crispy as it used to be. See how nice and crisp that is before I read Dynamesh? I'm not sure what they have changed that's keeping it from Dynamesh sub projection refinements. Maybe it's dynamic subdivision. Now maybe if we Dynamesh, it will do what we want it to. I don't know what to work on next. Put a multiple edge loop here. I don't want it to be creased. Okay, there we go. That's fine. Don't think that's going to hurt anything. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Because then we're going to go along here and we're going to put insert rivet inserts. Primitive IMM parts. Let's see what these parts are. Hex heads tend to look pretty legitimate. These star heads would look pretty cool. We can go to low res and see how those. If we hold down control. Okay. Maybe we do it that way. So what I'm doing is I'm left clicking and then pressing control, and it will be locked to that specific size. However, I need to be able to do it whenever the helmet is on a high resolution, not the state that it's in now. So again, we're back to needing to redynamesh this, reconstruct subdivided surface. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Delete lower. Okay. Then reconstruct subdivision. It's a lot more smooth now. We're going to high res. Delete lower. Then we're going to go to dynamic subdivision and apply. And I draw on the surface. Mask is working properly. Okay. So then we'll go back to these bolts and place them where I think they need to be. Undo. I'm left clicking first, then hitting control, and it locks it to the size of my brush. I'm not holding down control now. I'm just left clicking, just short click. Know that there needs to be rivets anywhere else. I'm in parts, primitives. Let's see here. Nope, nothing I want there. What about machine parts? What a turbine would look like on here. Transmitter. Turn up the draw size to maybe 20. Way too big. Flywheel 2 looks pretty futuristic, so let's see about that. See if there's any other thing we want to put on here. I don't know about that, what I just put on there, but it looks halfway decent. I'm in parts. Nope. Don't want any of those. Clothing. Don't think we want any of those. Well, now I'm just messing around. And I know I've been recording this entire time too, but not exactly sure what I'm doing. When I get ready to finish a helmet, I always get like modeler's block. What do I want to do next? What do I want to add? Do I want to be really intricate? Do I want to be simple? And it just crashed, which is frustrating. Well, crap. Now I don't have my dadgum back memory. That sucks. Really like to add some detail, some filigree style detail. Some sort. I want to just make it up as I go. Turn lazy mouse on. Lazy mouse, backface masking. Turn the draw size down to maybe 1. Just going to play around for a minute. Maybe turn off symmetry. Maybe use a maybe use an alpha. Maybe use an alpha. Maybe we'll turn this back to madcap gray. I think I should probably just go ahead and open number 4, where I don't have any rivets or anything like that. Go back to the actual correct save point. I don't know what to do next. I really don't. Almost want to just stop there. So I subdivided 6 times. I'm going to delete the lower, go to dynamic subdivision and apply. Then I'm going to go to high res, apply, go to Dynamesh. I'm going to try and re-Dynamesh this at 4K. Just do 5 and it'll max it out to the highest point. But for some reason earlier, it wasn't wanting to work properly. Let's go ahead and re-Dynamesh, see what happens. See how I've got pixelation down in here. I still think it'll print well, but the edges and everything aren't as crisp as I would like them to be. Turn that back to, you could go to Gorilla, Madcap Gorilla. Kind of like the flat. Turn on perspective. All right, this is pretty much where y'all had seen it last. Obviously, it was in a different color, but I have done a few embellishments across the helmet because I wanted it to be a little bit more showy based upon the character from the book that it's modeled after. So I added Ares on the side, and I added fire details around the side as well. Y'all had seen me do similar things like this in the past. I just masked off an area, went to extract on the subtool list, extract, and then I turned that into its own subtool. And that's how I got this fire. I essentially drew on the fire and extracted it out. And then as I went on, I used the clay buildup brush over the top of the fire with a really small brush size and put the fire into it. And then I went into with the pinch tool and pinched some of the fire as well. So you can take the pinch tool and you can pinch like that and it'll pull it up together kind of like the peak of a mountain. And that's how I got the detail on the fire. But this is pretty much the helmet. If you have any questions, please let me know. I know this was an incredibly long tutorial, but I wanted y'all to see the entire process. There will be a few areas that I skipped through because they're areas that I'm not talking. But I hope y'all enjoyed it. Please let me know if you have any questions. I will do shorter tutorials in the future. However, I've had a lot of people request for me to do this type of tutorial that is all encompassing so that they could see the entire process rather than just short little pieces of the process. This way, y'all can skip ahead, you can speed up the video, do whatever it is that you would like to do based upon whatever part you would like to see. And at least this way, you can see the entire process of the start to finish 3D modeling. All right, so going forward, what we're going to do before we cut off the video is we are going to... Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you all how to process this into a 3D printable part. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that all of my subtools are at a high resolution mode to make sure that I retain all the detail possible. I'm going to go to Dynamesh. I'm going to go to 0 on blur, and I always put 5000 just because it's the highest resolution that you can utilize. And before we do that, actually though, we're going to turn all of this back to matte cap gray. That way, everything is easier to see. Just holding down Alt, left clicking on each individual part, and I'm going to turn everything gray. Each individual subtool. I'm not actually going to use these rivets because they're just not going to print well on an FDM printer. So we will go ahead and skip those. We'll delete them out of the subtool list. But everything else should do a pretty good job. You could, of course, print this on a resin printer if you wanted to, if you had a big enough resin printer. This one's already set to the proper Dynamesh. So in resolution, the trim is what I'm on now. I'll go ahead and highlight that with polyframe mode so you can see which part I'm working on. 5000, 0 on blur, and I'm going to re-Dynamesh that. Okay. Then we'll go to the fire. 0 on blur, 5000 on resolution. Dynamesh that. Looks like the trim wasn't in the highest resolution possible. So we will subdivide that 1, 2, 3 on Control D to subdivide. We're going to delete the lower, then go dynamic subdivision, go to apply, delete lower again. Then we're going to go down to Dynamesh and 0 on blur, 5000 on resolution, and Dynamesh. Okay. Now that is good. The fire is good. The base helmet is good. Make sure that's good. We're going to turn off the rivets, like I said. Zoom in here. Make sure we're at a high resolution mode on this trim piece around the ear. Subdivide 2 or 3 times, maybe 3 or 4 times. Delete lower, dynamic subdivision apply, delete lower, and then Dynamesh 0. There may be a better way to do this, but this is how I've figured out how to do it. I've never had any formal training with ZBrush. It's just trial and error. So that's how I've ended up doing what I'm doing. All right, so that is the piece around the ear. This piece is actually a separate piece as well. We're going to make sure that's already been Dynamesh, so we're going to just make sure and turn it back on. All right, this little vent piece, it's really meant to be kind of like where you would hear sound, kind of like, you know, so that you can hear what's going on outside of the helmet so it's not muffled. It's the concept behind it. Dynamic subdivision, apply, delete lower, Dynamesh, and re-Dynamesh. Okay. Then I think that is all the parts except for maybe Ares himself. That is set to 3000. We'll go up to 5000. We're going to delete lower and redynamesh. Grab these ports on the back. It's a little bit laggy right now because it's got a lot of resolution. High res, subdivide a couple times, delete lower, dynamic subdivision apply, delete lower, dynamesh, 0 on blur, 5000 on resolution, redynamesh, and do the same thing for this little port here. Make sure it's high res, subdivide, control D. You can just tap D multiple times. When control is held down, delete lower. Then we're going to go dynamic subdivision, apply, delete lower, then dynamesh, 0 on blur, 5000 on resolution, dynamesh, and we should be good. Click through here real quick just to make sure on each part that it is dynameshed. Look at that. That back armor right there. 1, 2, 3. Subdivide, control D 3 times, delete lower. Dynamic subdivision, apply, delete lower. Dynamesh, 0 on blur. 5000 on resolution, and a redynamesh. Okay, I think that should be it, other than the rivets, and we are actually going to delete the rivets. Where are the rivets in the subtool list? That is the rivets. We're going to delete those. I actually, on a different version, filled these holes. I just masked them off. Control I to invert the mask. Then I went delete hidden and close holes, and then just fixed up any of the edges that were kind of janky or anything like that. But I had made room for them originally when I thought I was going to print the rivets, but then I realized the rivets probably wouldn't print very well, and they would be more annoying when sanding the helmet after it's printed than helpful. All right, there we go. So these are some chains that I had actually moved from down here in the back to over the spear. I have a version like that on my Etsy shop and various other websites where I sell 3D models. And it ended up looking pretty good. There we go. Ended up looking pretty good. So I went ahead and left a version that way because Ares is the breaker of chains in the book series Red Rising. And so that's ultimately the way the helmet turned out. I think it looks great. I'm really proud of this helmet. I'm proud of the fire. The fire I'm probably most impressed with the way that it turned out. I do like Ares as well. So I hope you like it too. But let's go ahead and continue on. So I went ahead and put a visor in, and that's its own separate subtool. And it fits right behind the face mask. I fit it just behind the face mask so that that could be printed, and then ultimately somebody could maybe heat form it in a black translucent plexiglass or something like that, maybe a smoked plexiglass, whatever somebody may have. But for the sake of this, we're gonna worry about the chains right now, but I will show you how to process this out to 3D printing. Okay, so you've got a couple different things on the inside of the helmet that are colliding with the rest of the helmet. So we're gonna have to take care of that. Okay, and I'll show you how to do that. And I'll make a couple mistakes so that as if I wasn't pre-planning for it, that way you can kind of see the process of fixing the mistakes. All right, so we're going to take all of these parts and make sure that they're organized properly. And we are going to we can go ahead and delete the head. We don't need the head model anymore. All right, let me just click back through this subtool list to see what is combined and what isn't. So these three need to be combined. So we'll go ahead and start with that. make sure Dynamesh on all of them is set up. All right, they all have proper Dynamesh. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take these top 3 subtools and we are going to merge down, merge down, merge down. And then we're going to drag onto the screen on the canvas by holding down Control and left click and dragging. And it's going to re-Dynamesh all those into one subtool that is combined to one another. See, now it's one subtool and it is all combined with one another. All right, it's all welded together. We can go ahead and delete the wolf because I ended up not using the wolf on this variation of the helmet. Okay, so we've got the back plate armor. We'll go ahead and wait on that for a minute, but I know that these ports are already situated the way that they need to be. So we'll go ahead and merge those down with the helmet. You see the helmet is right here. Merge down with the helmet. I'm going to re-Dynamesh. It's going to merge the helmet with those ports. Imagine those like power ports to charge the helmet or something like that. It's kind of the concept behind what I was doing with it. We can go ahead and zero that out. We can see that it's welded to the helmet now. It's all one solid piece. Okay. To get ready for 3D printing, you've got to do this process. Okay. And I've got vents on the front here. These vents, okay, that you can see on the front. That's for like speaker for your voice. And we're gonna merge that down, drag onto the canvas, holding down Control and left click and dragging. It will merge that with the helmet. Okay, and then we've got Aries, we've got most of the trim, we've got the fire, and we've got the plates for the back. The plates for the back are colliding with the inside of the helmet, so I might wait on that. I might just go ahead and merge it and then show you how to fix that. Those parts that are colliding, because we still have a few more parts that are colliding inside. Yeah, maybe I'll go ahead and just merge that and I'll show you how to fix it. All right, go ahead and merge down the plates on the back of the helmet, re-Dynamesh. I like to do one part at a time rather than all the parts at a time, because what can end up happening is it just bogging down your computer too much and creating too many issues. All right, so what does the helmet look like in solo mode? That's what the helmet looks like in solo mode. You can see that it's welded on the inside and we've got some colliding parts, which is okay. We can fix that. All right, so we're gonna save these to the last. Those are the ears. And we're gonna go ahead and weld the Aries, the trim, the fire, and we're gonna move the visor up out of the way so we don't end up merging that and welding it. All right, merge down, re-Dynamesh with Aries. It's welded now. You see it's all one part. Merge down with the trim and the spikes. Re-Dynamesh. And then we're going to, and you can see, trim and spikes. Merge down with the fire. Re-Dynamesh. All right, now everything except for the ears and the visor are connected. You can see there, it's all one mesh now. And it's a lot more smooth, moves around a lot more smooth instead of those individual parts. We can turn off the polyframe mode and you can see that everything is nice and welded together. Everything needs to be all one part like that unless you're doing individual cutout parts. Like if you're doing a weapon with inserts or something like that, then obviously you don't want to connect those parts, and that's something I'll show you on a weapon in the future. But for now, for the sake of this helmet, I don't need anything cut out except for the visor, which I'm going to show you in just a few seconds. All right, so we're going to go to the visor. We're going to make sure that the visor is re-Dynamesh. We'll go ahead and subdivide 3 times, delete lower. We're going dynamic subdivision apply, delete lower, then Dynamesh, 0 on blur, 5K on resolution, and we are going to Redynamesh that. Okay. Then we have that. I'll go ahead and rename these. So helmet and ears and visor. Okay, just so there is no confusion. All right, you can see on the inside how the visor is bleeding through the inside of the helmet, but in here on this area, it looks pretty much correct. I'm going to show you how to work with that. So is this something you probably should do before you redynamesh it, keep it in low resolution mode. So with that being said, I'm going to undynamesh this. We're going to go back down to a low resolution. I'm going to fill it with matte cap gray so we can see it a little bit easier. We're going to keep going to low resolution, and then we are going to delete higher. Okay, that's how you get back down to a low resolution mode before you, even after you dynamesh, you can do the undo history and go back if you need to. Okay, so I'm going to use my move brush, and you can turn on transparency if you need to, but at this point in time, I don't really need to. I'm going to push this down. Let me make sure that symmetry is on. Yep, symmetry is on. Okay, push this down. We want it to be about like that right there. I've already done this on another version. I just didn't video it. So now I can't see on the top side of the helmet to see if that's flush the way that it needs to be. So what you can do is hold down Control, click on your helmet, turn off polyframe mode, Control, Shift, and Alt. Okay. And Control, Shift, and Alt. And you can remove that. You didn't delete anything. So don't worry, you didn't delete anything. You just hid that for just a second. You could essentially do that with masking too, but that's the hotkey to do it, is the way that I just showed you. I'm going to turn polyframe mode back on because the visor is a little bit fatter than it needs to be. So we'll go ahead and pull that back in. Turn off solo. Now we see that we have that gap. Turn the draw size up just a little bit. Push that in. You can see it disappearing a little bit behind the mask of the helmet. Push that in. Push that in like that. Go ahead and leave that. We don't need to sink that in much anymore. All right. Just kind of adjust this a little bit. Change your angle so you can see. Now you could probably print this helmet in a transparent resin as well. So you have a resin printer. You could do something like that. I think I would probably building this helmet completely, 3D printing it and getting it ready to wear. I would probably end up just going with plexiglass, depending on if I could gain access to plexiglass for a decent price, or depending on if it worked. So maybe I would print this visor in resin or in filament and then see what it looked like. See if I could use that as kind of a template for the visor being cut into plexiglass. But it's just kind of depends on what the individual that is building the helmet wants to do. All right, pull this out. Need to go to solo mode. It's not letting me grab it. Pull this out a little bit. Okay. Continue to pull this out. All right. Can't see very well at this angle. There we go. Looking decent on the front end here. Now, you get the idea. of what I'm trying to do here. Just make sure that it's not in too many areas colliding with the face mask to where it cuts away too much and creates problems for myself. Don't want to create problems for myself, but just want it to be slightly embedded into the mask so that whenever we print the visor or make the visor in plexiglass, you'll know exactly where to set that visor in relationship to the helmet. Everything is already pre-sized. All right, so for the sake of the video, you get the concept. So we're going to make sure that we have the proper creases where we need them. It looks like I'm missing a crease here. Let's see. Crease. No, it's all creased. High res. Then we're going to Control D, subdivide multiple times. Make sure we get to high enough resolution. Dynamic subdivision, apply, delete lower. Then we're going to go to Dynamesh. We're going to go to 5000, 0 on blur, re-Dynamesh that. Okay, so now we have the helmet re-Dynameshed, the visor re-Dynameshed, and these earpieces re-Dynameshed. Okay, now we can go back to the subtool list. We're going to select the helmet. We're going to Control, Shift, Alt, drag a box around the entire area where the helmet would be. It's going to redisplay the rest of the helmet. Okay, now we're going to duplicate the visor, duplicate the helmet, duplicate the ears, okay? And then we're going to turn one of each of these off, just to save our work. That's it. It's just to save our work. That way, if we mess up when we combine and do the cutaways, that we aren't going to run into an issue and then not have the asset that we need. When I get to this point, I always tend to select the subtools that are visible and make sure that they are re-Dynameshed just one more time. Visor is the last one. Make sure I'm on that visor. Yep, okay. So now that we have those duplicates, we are going to use the Boolean cut, okay? I'm not exactly sure if it's the Boolean cut or not, but as far as what the name goes, how the name goes, so we're going to move the helmet up to the top. We're going to select this little icon right there on the visor, and then we're going to select the helmet and merge down. Okay, and then we're going to re-Dynamesh, and it's going to cut away the helmet in the areas where the visor is connected to the helmet, and it's going to delete the visor subtool. So then you can come in here on the inside and you can see where the visor ended up cutting out away from the helmet. You can have some artifacts here that you can clean up. So specifically with the helmet, any of these areas where you have floating objects and stuff like that, what you can do is you can move the helmet down to the bottom just by left clicking, holding and dragging, and then you can go to auto group and then group split. It's going to separate all those little floating parts into its own subtool. I like to go one down from the helmet that I want to keep, or the item that I want to keep, and then I want to start deleting these. I wish there was like a shift click delete, but there may be. I just haven't learned it yet. Anyway, that way, whenever I'm clicking delete really fast, I don't end up clicking delete on the item that I want to keep on my subtool list. So this is the last little piece. Okay, so a lot of those floating pieces are gone. We still have little things like this that are in the way or floating there. They might try to print with your printer. What you can do is you could come in here and you could use the masking tool to mask this off. Make sure I'm not masking the outside. I should have done that with back face masking on, but I got lucky. Then Control I, hide point, delete hidden, close holes. Okay, but then it's going to disrupt a little bit of where that visor should ride. So you might have to smooth this out, or you can just be a little bit more precise with where you put your visor and how you cut it away. Okay, so you don't want to smooth out too much of this. You can do these little pieces and stuff in through here if you want to. Smooth this out a little bit if you want to. Okay. just kind of depends on what you want to do. Clean that up as much as you want to clean it up. Okay, and then we can go ahead and address these parts on the back side of the helmet. You can use your masking tool, mask around these areas. Okay, you want to try and have like a smooth edge, not something jagged like that. That kind of makes the hide and delete act a little funky. So I try to have like a smooth edge. Those are probably small enough to where you can just use the smooth tool and smooth those out. I ended up not having back face masking on whenever I held down shift and used smooth. So I do now, but what ended up happening was I smoothed through the helmet and messed up this armor on the back side. So that's why you want to make sure that back face masking is on. That's why I have it on my screen, on my UI, so I can see it and always remember to use it, which I don't always remember to use it, but it's there and I can just Control Z, undo, and fix the problem. Zoom in here, hold down shift, smooth this out. Okay, that cleaned that up. Then I'm going to go Control I to invert the mask, hide point. Okay, I've got multiple subdivisions apparently. The function requires a mesh to be partially hidden. I haven't hidden anything yet. Hide point, delete hidden, close holes. All right, so there we go. Smooth that out now. The more you work on it, the more smooth it'll be, the more it'll disappear. Same concept with this. I can't, if I just do this, it's going to hide a part on the back side of that where it actually doesn't get masked. So what I'm going to do is hide a part of the helmet so that I can get in there and actually see everything properly. Mask all this, undo, back face masking isn't on. Make sure that I'm not masking. Even if you have back face masking on, sometimes when you mask, your mask brush could be so big that it still bleeds through the back side. So you still want to go around on the back side when you're doing this on the other side of the helmet to make sure that you don't have a mask where you don't intend there to be one. All right. Control I for inverting the mask. Before I do that, I'm pretty sure that I've got to re-show the rest of the helmet. Correct. Yes, because that would have been deleted as well if I didn't do what I just did there. So undo. I got to be pretty precise with my masking because I was closer than I needed to be with this. So what we can do is just hold down Control and Alt and make this area a little bit wider. That way when I mask the rest of the helmet, I don't take a chance of creating a problem for myself. All right. That little portion there, just change the angle of the helmet. Make sure you have everything masked off. Observe around the helmet. Make sure you don't have anything missing that needs to be masked. The mask is already inverted. We're going to hide point, delete hidden, close holes. It's going to close that up. You see how we have those that are floating. We're going to make sure the helmet is on the bottom of the subtool list, auto group, group split. It's going to separate those off, and any other little artifacts that we may have missed along the way. I like to move one down so I don't accidentally delete my helmet. Anything that has text there means there's a subtool, even if you can't see it. Quite a few. If you want to move the subtool list down, you can see how many there are. There are a lot. So we'll keep working here. Pay attention to the text, not the actual showing of the object. All right, there's the last one. Delete. Then we can come in through here and smooth this out. Again, I'm not processing this for real this time. I would be a little bit more precise than I'm doing. I'm just showing you the process. I've already done this, and the helmet is actually already up for sale on my websites. But you can be as precise as you want to be to smooth everything back out on the inside. Okay, so now we have the visor that can be printed. We've got the duplicate helmet. We can go ahead and hold on. Actually, we're going to delete that duplicate helmet because the helmet is at a different stage now. So we can duplicate this version of the helmet, move that up, turn it off. We have the visor that's ready to be printed essentially. And we have these earpieces that are duplicates of these earpieces right here. Okay, so now we've got the earpieces that are bleeding over to the inside. So if this was just a flat outer side of the helmet, it would be easy. I could just control drag around the helmet when I'm on this subtool, and I can make sure that I have what masked what needs to be masked. But I don't have that. I'm gonna go ahead and read Dynamesh real quick on the helmet. All right. The ear though. So what we can do is you can hold down Control. We can go to and left click on your mask tool. You can go to lasso, okay? And then you can drag off on the canvas and you can kind of try and follow the interior part of the helmet while having the ear portion selected. And then you can observe the outside. You see, I did that and I still ended up masking this little portion here. So then I can hold down Control on the canvas, hold down Alt, and unmask that little portion of what I'm trying to mask to make sure I don't take something that I'm not supposed to. You zoom in right here. Was there a little mask there? It seems a little bit shaded, so I'm going to make sure, and that's not masked. Same process, hold down Control and Alt to unmask that. Now let's observe on the inside. So this portion is masked properly, and I think, ooh, look, a little bit right there. You could hide the helmet if you want to observe that part of your mask. So Alt click on your helmet, hide a bit of your helmet if you want to. That way you can make sure that everything is masked off properly. Okay. You can come inside here. Don't get distracted by all these different layers and not know where your mask is actually at. It looks like my mask was removed whenever I just did that action. So this may end up being easier doing it this way. So hold down Control, make sure we're on the ear. Hold down, or did I have the other one selected? No, I had this one selected. Okay. Hold down Control, and we will attempt to remask this portion of the ear, making sure that we don't get any on the outside, which you just need to kind of turn, hold down Control and Alt. Okay. Because of the intricate shape of this, you can end up masking something on the back side that you don't mean to. So you need to keep moving around at different angles and properly masking. Okay. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Right here needs some addressing. So I think this is probably the right angle to get to it. Still missed a little bit there. Okay, so we're looking at this portion right in through here. We want to make sure that there's as little as possible bleeding through on the inside of the helmet. And we want to make sure that we're not going to end up masking and deleting something on the outside of the helmet. Okay, so now that that's done, we can Control I. So what we want to keep should be masked. What we want to get rid of should be unmasked. I'm not really worried about that part right there. So then we can hide point, delete hidden, close holes. Okay. So then let's observe to make sure. Look at that right there. Right there. We got to be perfect. So I'm going to undo that little part right there. I messed up on. So let's hold down Control. See if we can get in here, get that little part. All right. I think we are good. So then we're going to, again, hide point, delete hidden, close holes. Okay. Let's observe the outside of where it intersects with the helmet. Ah, look, right there. Control I, or Z, Control Z, little portion right there. So then we're going to hold down the mask, reselect that. Looks like I masked a little bit more off on the inside than I wanted to. So what you can do is you can hold down Control, select the masking tool, go back to Pin, and then you can hold down Alt. Make sure your draw size is turned down for this. Then you can unmask that if you really want to be precise. Unmask that. All right, now let's observe the outside again. This little portion right here. Okay, I think we fixed that issue. All right, let's give this another shot. Hide point, delete hidden, close holes. And it's really thinking. I've been working on my computer a lot today, so the memory is probably, I need to wipe the cache and all that stuff. Come on, ZBrush, catch up with me here, buddy. You can do it. I've got faith in you. Well, damn. Get it all set up just perfect and nice, and then ZBrush freezes on me. Oh. Let's see where we are. Back pretty close to where we were. Control Shift Alt. Nope, I don't have the helmet selected. Control Shift Alt. Reselect this. This little spot right here. Oh, undo. Control Alt. All right. Solo mode. Control I. Hide point, delete hidden, close holes. There we go. Solo mode. Not terrible. All right. Select the helmet. Bring everything back. So now on this, I'm going to select that. And I'm going to mirror and weld on X. And then I'm going to merge that with the helmet. Make sure Dynamesh is on. On both. We've got the same helmet at the same place. We're going to merge this down. Redynamesh should weld everything together. Have a little bit of cleanup on the inside to do. A lot more than a little bit. So we're going to undo that. I'm going to get rid of this floating piece. Hold down Control, go to Lasso, Control I, hide point, delete hidden, close holes. It's a little better. Redynamesh. Smooth this out. Then we will bring the helmet back. Bring it down. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it. Make sure we still have a good Dynamesh on the helmet. Make sure we have a good Dynamesh there. We do. Subtool, we're going to take the helmet and merge, clear the, I guess I had a mask on there, but we're going to merge down. That's fine. One side is wrong, but go ahead and redynamesh. Mirror on X, mirror and weld. All right. See what it looks like on the inside here. Backface masking. Now we're just going to go to shift and smooth. Redynamesh by dragging onto the screen with Control left click and drag. Let's switch back to the pen tool. Smooth this out. You can mask this off. Actually, turn backface masking back on. Every time you reopen the program, it will make you turn backface masking back on. I'm sure you can probably change the defaults. You need to make sure there's no masking out here though. And there is, because my draw size was pretty high. So instead of doing all that, how about I just go back on the inside? Clear that mask. Remask with a smaller draw size. Draw I, hide point, delete hidden, close holes. Right. Redynamesh. And then we can smooth this out. And then there you go. Essentially, it's all one piece now. Now, what I did with my helmet was I inserted a cylinder. Make sure focal shift is down to -100. Move. Turn off perspective because it can kind of change the way the part looks whenever you're trying to line up multiple parts. Scale that up. And that's probably good. Then move that down and inside about right there. You can turn on transparency mode if you need to. I'm pretty familiar with this part because I've used it. I've worked with it quite a bit on other files. Okay, so Zmodeler, We're going to crease all these edges, or at least these outer edges. High res, yes. Control D 3 times, delete lower. And 0 on blur, 5K. Okay, redynamesh that part. Okay, it's redynameshed. Turn off that. Got it there. All right, transparency. Know that it's not going to bleed through anywhere. Then I'm going to turn on cut. We're going to merge it with the helmet. Make sure Dynamesh is on properly. It is. We're going to merge down. Then we're going to cut away at the helmet with this piece. There it is. Now cut that out so there's a little bit more room for your ear. It's not on the other side because I didn't have mirror on, so I'll mirror to the other side because it always starts left first, and then mirror and weld. And now it is symmetrical on both sides. So we have all of our cutouts and everything ready for 3D printing. We can delete this ear. We can delete this extra helmet. You know, you should really be saving in between these different processes. So like you get all your items and everything done, you save it. Then when you go to combine it, after you combine everything to the helmet the way that you want to before you do any cutouts, then you want to save a file. And then once you do your cutouts, save a file. I'm not going to do that because I've already got the variations of the files saved. I'm not worried about it. And it looks like in the process, I ended up smoothing this out. You just want to make sure that you're looking inside to outside whenever you mask on the inside so that you're not masking the outside. Not a big deal. You get the concept. I explained everything. But anyway, so then once you're ready to go, you want to make sure that this is scaled properly. And how you scale it properly is we're going to append a cube. You can select that cube. Okay. And you want to go down here to initialize. I do anyway. I like to simplify that cube. Okay. Let's just say that this size of a cube right there is 1 inch, 1 inch cubed. Okay. It looks about right based upon the size of the helmet. So I'm going to say that's 1 inch. Then we're going to go to Scale Master. And we're going to go to inch, 1, 1, 1, 1 cubed, 1 inch cubed. Then we're going to resize that subtool. It's going to resize all the other subtools in relationship to that cube. So that is a known. ZBrush knows the size of this cube in space. So I resized this cube to 1 inch cubed. Then I'm going to go back to Scale Master, set scene scale, 1 inch. Okay, so now I know that my helmet is scaled properly for the size that I want to export it. Now that all of that's done, everything is already Dynameshed. I can delete this cube. Okay, Dynamesh there, we're good. So then we want to decimate this file for 3D printing. We don't want it to be an incredibly high resolution with millions of polygons. So I'm going to take this down to 10%. It's usually my standard. Pre-process all. It's going to pre-process all these subtools. You want to make sure that your subtools are named the proper subtools before you go through this process. Otherwise, you'll have to do it again. And whenever I export, I like to have my names, the proper names, so that when they're exported, they take the name of the subtool that already exists. It's running through the process. Sometimes it will create a new scene, so I'll show you what to do since we have 2 helmets here. Don't worry about that. I'll show you that in just a few seconds. All right, that's done. Took about a minute. So then we want to go back. That one's just hit Control N, and it will get rid of that other one. Okay, So then we can, let's see if we can do it. Helmet. See if I have to rerun the process of, let's go ahead and just rerun the pre-process all with the new subtool names. Now the process is different whenever you are doing something like getting something ready for a video game. That's just not what I specialize in. I specialize in 3D printed models. I've always wanted to learn the process of getting something ready for a video game, but I know it really has to start from the beginning. And I haven't ever learned that workflow. I'm self-taught, so there's probably something that I'm missing as far as keeping the polygons optimized. And so I'm not familiar with this process. What I am familiar with is getting things ready to 3D print as hopefully as quick as possible. I'm sure there's other ways of doing things. There's so many things about ZBrush, so many ways you can do different things. So I may not know everything. So if you do know something that I don't, please feel free to share what you know. Decimate all. Okay, that'll go pretty quick. And we went from 9 million polygons to 900,000 polygons in the entire workspace. And then you can see how it's all split up now. Nowhere near as many polygons. Definitely not the way that it would need to be structured for a video game, but you can see that everything's combined, everything has been compressed. And then what you would want to do at this point is you would go to Z plugin, 3D print hub, and then you can export whatever you want it to be, wherever you want it to be on your computer, and you hit save. And we'll go ahead and just go back to where I have this one saved, not client files, Red Rising, and hit save. Yes. So it'll say here, choice of subtool names, and so on and so forth. The one that I like to pick is ask for the file name for each subtool. That way I can keep it consistent every time. All right, there you go. You're done. You can import that into any of your slicing softwares. You can upload that to the internet for somebody else to download in that form, and you are good to go and you're ready to print. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching this. I greatly appreciate y'all watching this. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. If you know something that I don't, some way that you can help me, please let me know. I'm happy to listen. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll have more tutorials in the near future. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, it's very long. I can imagine there's only a few of you that will. Please write in the comments, gotcha. All right, the secret word of the day is gotcha. All right, thank you very much. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.